Welcome to the Echo Sportscast number 78.
I'm Ben Sargent.
And I'm Jackson Bull. This week's show includes OFSAA Single A Volleyball that was hosted by Algonquin, and with games hosted at the Canadore College Gym took place this week. We have highlights from the Barons as they look to go toe-to-toe with some of Ontario's best.
We also have interviews and footage from Tuesday's Jack Lyons Memorial Hockey Exhibition that saw schools from across the city come together to celebrate Jack's life and combine hockey and school spirit into one event.
All of that on the way and more after a word from our title sponsor, Source for Sports.
It's almost that time of year. Early mornings at the rink, fresh notebooks and backpacks, and a community gearing up for another great season of varsity sports. At Source for Sports North Bay, we're proud to be part of it all. Whether it's finding your kid's first pair of skates, gearing up for tryouts, or outfitting your team for the season ahead, we've got you covered. Because here, we're not just a sports store, we're neighbors, coaches, teammates, and fans. And we're proud to cheer you on every shift, step, and stride of the way. Visit Source for Sports North Bay at 1321 Fisher Street and let us help you along your way.
So North Bay hosted OFSAA Single A Volleyball this past week as Algonquin and Canadore were the two host gyms for the event. The Barons getting to play as the host. The Barons got the opportunity to play in the event as the host city, and they looked to upset some of the teams in their group so they could advance to the knockout stages on Wednesday. I was there on Tuesday morning for their match versus St. Thomas. After dropping the opening set 25-16, the Barons were actually leading the second set at the halfway mark, 15-14, but St. Thomas would go on to win that set and to sweep the Barons as they ended up winning the set 25-21. The Barons did go 0-4, but they had some very close calls, including against Saint Frere André, where they lost 2-0, but they lost those sets 25-21 and 26-24. So they did a really solid job going toe-to-toe against Ontario's best single A schools and got very close to some success. So a lot of positives for the program to take from this OFSAA experience. And it's always nice for North Bay, of course, to host an event. It's great for tourism.
Yeah. Well, it's great for recruiting, too. For Canada to come and see all these.
And Nipissing, yeah. I'm sure there were some Nipissing guys there too.
Yeah, for sure, that come and take a look at, because somebody's ultimately going to win. Like, they're going to be the best single A school in Ontario. And so it's great for all of them to come up and see North Bay. As we've talked about, it's sometimes difficult to get people to come up and see North Bay. And then great opportunity for the Canadore Scouts and Nipissing Scouts to see them.
Yeah, and that's the funny you made that point because I was thinking the exact same thing. It's hard to get people up here, but people are forced to come up here for OFSAA, so you might as well take advantage of it while they're here. And the competition's obviously not as heavy as it is down south. So if you're somebody who maybe isn't good enough to play in a Toronto, I know that the Nipissing volleyball tends to be really. I know that on the men's side at least. I know we're talking about the women's here, but if you can't quite crack onto a UFT or Queens or whatever big powerhouse school you want to talk about, it is an option for you to play post-secondary athletics and come up here. And North Bay is a great place to come, especially if you're used to the hustle bustle of down south. It's a little bit less hustle bustle. Yeah,
and sometimes North Bay has been faulted that we don't have some of the programs. Like, we're not big on engineering and whatnot, but we're huge on teaching, nursing, policing, and both like Canadore and Nipissing. And so that's enough to draw students in. Like, oh, do you have my program? Can I play post-secondary ball? Like, welcome aboard, basically.
And if they want to be engineers, tell them, too bad, become a police officer.
Yeah, too bad. You're going to be a volleyball playing police officer.
Sure, yeah.
And that's that.
And that's that, yeah. That's your option. Also on OFSAA, the OFSAA news, scholars at AAA OFSAA down in Windsor, the one update I've seen is that I think they were playing quarterfinals yesterday. I don't know what happened. I just saw it on their Instagram account, so I don't know how that went, but we'll have to keep an eye out to see how they did at Windsor, because it looks like if they got into the quarterfinals, that's pretty good success. I don't know what Scholar usually does at OFSAA for girls volleyball, but it's still pretty impressive.
I think the quarterfinals is definitely going to be a success. Like, they have a super strong team, as we saw in the NDA and NOSSA loop, as they crushed everyone. But as we've talked about before, AAA OFSAA, like the biggest schools in the province. Like,
literally like the largest population of schools.
The largest you can get. So it's so tough to, it's really tough to do well. Like, ultimately somebody has to win or somebody gets to win AAA OFSAA, but I think quarterfinals, like making it to those elimination rounds, is definitely a success for the program.
And going back to Algonquin, the other thing too is that they had a good team this year, but Scholar and Chippewa were both like one step above them. Obviously, getting to be a host city, they get to play in OFSAA, so it's an interesting experience. I don't think they go in expecting to do anything super crazy, just because now they're going up against teams that won their respective NOSSAs, whatever, SOSA, Southern Ontario, whatever it is, right? I'm sure there's like a whole bunch of them down there. But they were not just did they win their respective high school league, but then they won the not provincial, but whatever you want to call it, their district league. So it's like the best of the best of that level. And they got swept in every game, so they lost 8 straight sets, but there were a lot of close calls there. Like a lot of 25-21 sets, not complete blowouts. So when I got to see them for that, I was there for that second set against St. Thomas, they didn't really look at a place. I think it just comes down to, can you finish your sets off? You know, what happens in the later set? And I think that's what Scholar was so good at. If you look at the final set of the NDA finals this year, it was kind of the same thing. Chippewa was ahead, and then Scholar just kind of shuts it down after a timeout, and then you just can't beat them.
Yeah, I think the competition is very strong, and they knew that going in, that these were the champions from some of the other OFSAAs from around Ontario. And there's a chance that Southern Ontario has 4 teams that are the best 4 teams, but only one gets to advance. And you'll never know, really. But I'm sure they went in there not expecting to win. But I bet that they didn't look at a place. Like you said, they didn't look at a place. I believe that they were there to compete. They were there to gain experience, and then hopefully next year they can give it an even better run.
Yeah, that absolutely makes sense. A couple of other things before we move on to the Jack Lyons Memorial Exhibition, which was a lot of fun on Tuesday. There's a couple of other things that came across our radar, mostly through socials. So in the world of hockey, in girls hockey, it was Scholar who ended up, after a tough battle against the St. Charles Cardinals, they ended up taking home silver at NOSSA, which I didn't realize that they had NOSSA for women's hockey. So again, that's great for that program. That is obviously strong enough that they're able to coordinate NOSSA, and I'm assuming OFSAA with it, which is really, really cool. And taking home silver is nothing to laugh at. That's very impressive.
Absolutely. I believe they won their semifinal match 8-3.
Wow.
Against one of the schools from the Sioux. So definitely they're meant to be there. And then a good battle against St. Charles, who's a strong, athletic, especially strong hockey school in Sudbury. So like ticket punch to OFSAA. They'll get to go test their competition. Sudbury's
a weirdly good hockey town.
Yeah.
You know, it's because you think of the Sioux a lot of times. Like the Sioux's usually really strong. Sudbury, because they're just beside us, there's just something about Sudbury, like at all levels of hockey. When you look at, well, maybe not at the OHL as much, but you're not playing, there's not as many local talent playing in the OHL. It's usually people from all over the place.
More of a market.
But you look at the NOJHL, the Greater Sudbury Cubs have just dominated that league. You look at, like even again, like at the AAA level, the U16 Wolves are like not as good as the Trappers, but they're up there. They're the second best team, and they usually will give them a run for their money. So the U18 Wolves won last year, so after upsetting the Trappers in the semis. So Sudbury, there's just something. There's something in the water in Sudbury.
It's called nickel.
It's called maybe. Other than that, Scholar, I know speaking of Scholar and hockey, the boys went to NOSSA and unfortunately did not qualify for OFSAA, is what you were telling me when you came in.
Yeah, they definitely won a game against St. Mary's, but they had a rocky start against Llewellyn. But you and I talked about yesterday that it's tough to go and play that tough competition after playing in a weaker NDA loop. even if they'd had played in tournaments and they won a tournament, it's still tough to like go in playing your best hockey, I guess. But I don't think they made the final, and that's what you had to do this year because NOSSA didn't get the extra bid for placement last year. So their season is unfortunately over, that they didn't get to go the extra step. But I don't think it's going to be, I think it's going to be more of a dynasty than a 1-year shot.
Oh,
like they
absolutely.
missed a shot this year, but I don't think they're crushed.
No, they definitely have a monopoly. I think even going into the next couple of years, it's hard to see anybody dethrone them in the NDA loop. At least it's very hard to think of who will. Like Chippewa's still going to be on a rebuild. Algonquin's probably going to be in kind of a semi rebuild, I would imagine, because they're probably losing a couple of players. And when we talk about Jack Lyons, we'll talk about a potential. We saw Ferris; they had a team. They have a team next year.
Yeah, they were looking great.
They were looking, and we'll talk about that. They went toe to toe with Chippewa, which Chippewa made it to the finals.
Yeah,
I kind of joked to you a little bit about like Ferris coming in and beating Chippewa would be kind of interesting because they're kids. Like obviously they play hockey, but there's a lot of kids who are probably just playing the one-off game, right? So they didn't have the same kind of coordination. But we'll get to that when we get to that. But I'm still hoping that we'll see Ferris. Maybe I think Mattawa was the other team that was like kind of flirting with the idea of potentially coming into the loop. So again, it would be great even if the teams aren't great right away. It would be better competition near the kind of bottom of the standings. But I think for Schollard, it's how do you play against good competition maybe a little bit more frequently. In fact, we saw this in football where Algonquin played. Was it St. Benedict, I believe?
Benedict, I think.
Yeah, in like a preseason game. Well, it technically counted towards their overall regular season. It was just a non-NDA game. So it still counted towards their overall record, which Ryan was telling me about. I didn't realize that was a thing. But apparently if you play any games outside of your league, it can still be considered part of your NOSSA record or whatever, whoever counts the overall
Ontario
records.
football, something.
Yeah. So it was just a way to get some different competition. I don't know if that's something that Schollard has to do, or it's like you have to maybe try to figure out how to play Sudbury more. Obviously, you can't travel to the Sioux. I think that's a little unrealistic. But how do you play some of those teams that come here from that? At least they're used to coming here if they're playing AAA or they play at a higher level. How do you get kind of close the gap a little bit, play some better competition, and help hone your skills a little bit for NOSSA? Because we did see it even in the NDA tournament this year as well. It'll help. It helps to hone yourself against good competition.
Yeah, there's been talk of Sudbury, but the biggest problem with Sudbury, or the biggest immediate problem, is they don't need us, but we need them. So less teams, like most likely less teams willing to come down or even meet in the middle, because
you'd have to travel to them.
Yeah, they don't need us, so we'd have to go there. The other big maybe, or has been talk of, is like Liskeard or Temiskaming Shores. Again, it'd be tough, but there's more of that. They need us and we need them, depending on the quality of team that they can sport. And
that's the thing too. Like we were talking about this as well. Like the Cubs, for instance, right? So their AAA team tends to be a lot of the players they're usually from the area, from like North Bay. So not that all of them are, but as you get further north, now when you get to the NOJHL, like Timmins and Hearst are like great teams, but they're also a lot. Again, you're not necessarily getting natives of that place. Yeah. You're getting people from outside. So what I've noticed in the AAA circuit, like Timmins, New Liskeard, like as you go further north, because there's less people to choose from, it does tend to be the teams tend to be a little bit weaker, and they're also not. You don't have a U16, U18 program. You have one single team, which just, if you look at the NDA loop, like you look at Chippewa, right? A lot of younger players, that completely changes how, like if you look at the U16 Trappers and the U18 Trappers, the U16 Trappers they're a good team, but they're not a good team. You know, like if you look at their record, because they're playing against older people. And that 2 years makes a huge difference when you're, talking about 15 versus 17.
100%.
So, I guess the question is, can you play better competition just to help hone yourself, I think, for that next step. And the same thing goes for football, right? Just traditionally, we don't tend to do well at NOSSA in football. Again, there's a size, like there's reasons why, but it's like if you want to take your program to the next level, you have to figure out ways to do that, and it's not going to be easy.
It's very difficult. I was just going to say it's on the base level, like a lot of time, a lot of effort from, let's say, Ryan, for example. But it's a lot of like development from the school too. Like you're all of a sudden like a football school. You're working the whole year probably. And you, like there's only
to be fair, they already do that.
They do.
Like,
they are
really do.
Taking steps towards there. But yeah, you'd have to do so much outsourcing, so much traveling that it would be very difficult.
Yeah. And you're also probably doing a lot of stuff in the summer, more so than they are now. Are you going to get people committed enough? Like as many people as you need committed enough to give up their summer? It's difficult. But speaking of football, there is a little piece of football news because a couple of Algonquin players are moving on to the next kind of round of tryouts for the Team Ontario, which is pretty cool. So Braden Groves and Evan Smettina were both selected to the second phase of tryouts as defensive backs for Team Ontario U18s. So big congratulations goes out to Braden and Evan, and good luck on the next phase of tryouts.
Going back to the volleyball side of things, Canadore men's volleyball signed Charlie Smith from the Chippewa Ravens program. Charlie Smith is a right side and has been with Coach Nodwell for the last 2 years. But it means for Chippewa that he doesn't get to return for grade 13.
Oh, that's why it was. You said it was bad news, and I was like, why is it bad news?
It's fantastic news for Charlie and his family, and even the Chippewa, like overall the Chippewa family and athletic family, but that's a grade 13 athlete who plays soccer, volleyball, basketball, who is like a starter on all of those teams.
Okay, first of all, Chippewa's won like every court sport, so I think they can have an off year. I think that's okay. As a Ferris alumni, I think it's okay.
Yeah.
No, that's really good news. That means that's two players who are going to be next year playing for Nipissing or Canadore, because Logan Gilpin also, who I guess came up just for the 1 year. He was a 1 year player until he got up to Nipissing. But yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I would have expected him to take the jump in basketball if you would ask me personally, but he's a very talented volleyball player and he's a super athlete, and so this is going to be a good spot for him. I
mean, the Panthers have a great volleyball program too. Yeah. Like they're strong within the OCAA circuit. They got, I think, all the way to the semifinals this year. So yeah, I can understand maybe wanting, like, when you look at all the different programs available, it's like, where do you want to go? Where do you think is going to be strongest, etc. Maybe the men's volleyball was just more attractive at Canadore.
Yeah. Well, I don't think the men's basketball had an exceptional year, and I don't know.
They had a bit of a tough year, right?
Yeah. So volleyball is probably the place to be.
And maybe you didn't get an offer, and that's
true.
That's another thing too. You never know, like scholarships or anything that happens. It's expensive.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
At least if you live at home, it's not as expensive, but tuition is still, a few grand.
Yeah, ask my dad how much it is.
We often talk about the rhythm of life in North Bay. For Amanda, that rhythm was fast. Hockey practices, baseball games, juggling a full-time career, and keeping up with 2 energetic boys. But life hit pause after routine surgery led to a call she never expected. Stage 2 breast cancer. No symptoms, no warning. Suddenly, Amanda was facing a double mastectomy, reconstruction, weeks of chemotherapy and radiation treatments, and several additional surgeries. The path ahead was overwhelming. Through every stage, one question stayed with her. How do I keep being mom for my boys? Amanda's care team at the North Bay Regional Health Center made all the difference. They understood how deeply she wanted to hold on to familiar routines, cheering from the stands, being there at bedtime, staying present in the moments that gave her strength. Their compassion kept her connected to the 2 people who kept her fighting. She stayed present. She stayed grounded. She stayed mom. This holiday season, help ensure patients have access to the exceptional care they need during life's most challenging moments. Your gift helps patients like Amanda stay connected to the people they love while strengthening healthcare for families across our region. Visit nbrhcfoundation.ca or call 705-495-8125 to give.
All right, moving on. We've got the Jack Lyons Memorial Hockey Exhibition. It was a really neat opportunity. Of course, something that is put on. Craig Nodwell is basically the person who does everything, who coordinates everything. We had the chance to talk to a couple of people. Craig, we've had a couple of One Kids Place. Mark, we'll get to those interviews in a bit. But the actual, so for those who don't know, Jack Lyons, of course, a huge. He was a patient with One Kids Place. He was there for a number of years, which is why the connection is there, and why his father Mark does so much fundraising with One Kids Place. They just did the ride for Jack a couple of weeks ago, and then they did this here where they usually make tens of thousands of dollars towards the autism program at One Kids Place. And they, of course, with this memorial exhibition, Jack was a huge hockey guy. Absolutely loved all hockey. Was a huge battalion fan. I think the battalion were there as well. A couple of the players were around. I saw Adam Dennis, GM, he's not even the GM anymore. He's the head of hockey, I believe, at the battalion. I think from last year onwards. So a lot of people were there. A lot of schools were there. Chippewa, Ferris, a bunch of elementary schools were there. It was packed. About 3,000 people were at this event.
Yeah, near north wide event, but Chippewa and Ferris, and then the respective feeder schools. It's a fantastic opportunity for all the students. All the community members are invited. Big groups like the North Bay Police Service, and then
the firefighters, I think, were there too.
Yeah, the firefighters for sure were there. The people from One Kids Place, and then the North Stars obviously participating in one of the hockey games. It's just a fantastic event for all the community to come together and support autism awareness for Jack.
Yeah, and it's, again, East-West doesn't exist anymore. That's probably the closest you're going to get to an East-West environment. It was rocking, though. Like, Ferris knows how to do spirit. Like, they were out there. Chippewa, like, the high schools were out to play when it came to spirit, because anytime they got called, I think it was the one principal came out and they didn't get a lot of cheer, and it was like Kevin Oshevsky was kind of emceeing the event, and he kind of made a joke, be like, you got to give more sound to the principal. And then the Ferris principal walked out for the puck drop, and it was behind me was all the Ferris people, and they exploded. It was like so loud. Which I thought was kind of funny, because just crickets and then just explosion from the Ferris people. But no, really cool event. I kind of have a little bit of beef though, because your name tag said Echo Podcast and Legend.
It did.
And mine just said Echo Podcast.
Well, you got to be more legendary, I suppose.
I also saw Rain Bradley's mother was the one handing out she was at the VIP. I don't know if it's VIP. She was handing out the media passes, because all the media's there, CTV, Beta Day, pretty much your TV. Anybody who's around locally was out to be there, and we were just briefly chatting and stuff, because this was literally Rain was just on the podcast and stuff. So that was kind of neat to see. But yeah, lots of people from all over the place. But I did get a chance to do a couple of interviews. So we're going to throw over to some of the people who I got a chance to chat with, who were kind of the people behind the scenes that make a lot of this stuff run. So first off, we have Craig Nodwell. Then we have Carol Tremblay, who's the kind of the manager / head of the autism department at One Kids Place. And then we also chatted with Mark Lyons, who is the father of Jack. So let's throw it over to those interviews now. You put together this, I think this is the 3rd or 4th annual Jack Lyons tournament. You're the guy who put everything together. First of all, tell me a little bit about your involvement in this great event.
This is the 3rd annual event, and my former future student ambassador of mine, Jenna Wilson, came up with this idea years ago. And knowing Jack and having a strong connection with Jack, I thought, you know what, this would be an amazing project to get involved with. Jenna has now graduated and gone. She's still involved, but from a school-based level, I am the guy that kind of sets everything up. and it's a special day for over 3,000 people here at the event, and I'm super excited that I get to play a role in it.
So I guess a little bit about your connection to Jack a little bit here. Obviously, a very sad story, but also much like Noah Duke, it's very inspirational, and his legacy's kind of lived on in the hockey world. Maybe talk a little bit about his influence on you.
So although never directly his teacher, Jack was an individual that I would see often in the halls, and he'd always just light up the hallway. He's a great human being. We miss him dearly. He had a positive impact everywhere he went, whether it was at Chippewa or at the Gardens cheering on the battalion. So to be able to honor him in this way and remember his legacy, it's just a really positive day for everybody involved.
So lots of games going on. What's the game that you are looking forward to the most here today?
Well, my son's playing in the intermediate game next, so I'm super excited to see him. He's a little bit nervous. So the grade 7 intermediate game is on my radar. The girls that's going to be a great game too, and then the boys bringing it home at the very end. Super excited. It's going to be some good hockey.
Maybe talk a little bit about how this event has evolved over the last 3 or 4 years, and where it's kind of started and what we have now today.
Funny you ask that, because I was just looking back at my old notes, and the first year we only had about 1,000 kids in attendance, and we barely filled up one side of the rink. Now we're up over 3,000 people in attendance, and this rink is almost full. Section 9's a little empty, but we'll work on that for next year. So the number of people attending, just constantly growing. Involvement from the community is, people are figuring out that this is a thing that's going to just continue to happen and be a huge event in our city. So there's a lot of momentum building, and I'm hoping one day we could sell out the whole rink.
Absolutely. So obviously One Kids Place is one of the kind of major sponsors, and there's obviously an attachment there between Jack and One Kids Place. Maybe you can speak a little bit to the fact that we're fundraising here for One Kids Place and the connection that you have with them.
So Jack accessed the programs at One Kids Place forever, and if you ever hear Mark Lyons speak about it, he has only the best things to say about the programming there. My own son has accessed the speech program there, so I have a strong attachment to that place as well. They just do so many great things for kids, and the kids are the foundation of our community. So if we have an opportunity to funnel money into their programming, it just makes our whole community a better place. And so that's easy to get behind and support.
Well, congratulations on this event, and have fun for the rest of the day.
Thank you.
So, Carol, first of all, tell me a little bit about One Kids Place involvement in this tournament.
Yeah, well, the fundraising from this event really supports our summer camps. And without that fundraising, we couldn't do the summer camps. So enabling kids, especially with autism or other special needs, to take part in camps that we adapt activities for them. So it's very important for us.
So tell me a little bit about these camps. What are some of the activities and opportunities that some of these kids get a chance to do?
Well, we have themed weeks. So we have like a water week, and we take the kids canoeing and swimming. We do cooking. We do life skills, science stuff, all those sort of things. Any activities you might see in any other camp, but we adapt our activities to fit the needs of the children.
Maybe talk a little bit about the connection between this event and then One Kids Place and autism.
Mm-hmm. Well, Jack was a client of One Kids Place for many years, so we know his family very well. His sister works with us. His dad has lots of connections with us. Does lots of fundraising things. We did the fat biking event a couple of weeks ago. So very connected to the family. Yeah, and this kind of activities that Jack used to do at One Kids Place, we use those for our themes. So sports weeks, hockey. Golf, so we use those. We have like Jack Lyons Days as part of our camps.
So there's a couple of hockey games playing today. Before I let you go, what is the thing that you're looking for? Which game are you looking forward to today?
Oh, probably the celebrity one. Yeah, but just hearing the noise is just amazing, and seeing the kids all jumping up and down to the music, it's a great event.
Well, thank you so much for chatting with me, and congratulations on today.
Thank you.
So I'm here with Mark Lyons, the father of Jack. Of course, you do so much for One Kids Place as well as for in your son's memory. Of course, maybe talk a little bit about Ride for Jack, which literally just happened on the weekend.
Last Saturday, Ride for Jack, we had 65 people out. We raised $13,000. Our trails were in amazing shape. We had people drive in from Toronto and just were like, we don't know who Jack is. And they happened to run into me, right? And they just love what's going on in our community, right?
Maybe just talk a little bit about this event here, because it's so many people are here, over 3,000. It's absolutely incredible. Maybe talk a little bit about what this event means for you and your family.
Bringing this back was a pillar for us to bring back something we truly believed in, and something Jack liked was the Jack Lyons hockey game. So Jack would be up early in the morning, and just whatever game we were going to that day, between the Voodoos, Trappers, and of course his holy grail was the battalion. So having the joint venture at the time to be asked, Mark, can we do this? To turn it into this event has been an amazing, amazing feat for the people at Chippewa High School, West Ferris High School. So it's been awesome.
Maybe talk a little bit about, as a parent, obviously losing a child is unfathomable. I cannot even come close to understanding that. But you being able to take your son's memory and do what you've done in the community, do what you've done with One Kids Place, what is that like for you?
Well, if we go on the sidelines, 70 kids won't have supports. That's a big number, and you just have to realize I'm not done yet. And like Jack's death was something we carry, and from there you have to get stronger, and that's being part and giving back in the community has always been part of our philosophy in the Stockfish family, and it's just who I am and how I'm built, that I was going to find a way to bring this back, and some great people stepped in to bring it back, so it's amazing.
Maybe talk a little bit about your relationship with One Kids Place and the work that you've done, a lot of fundraising and work with them, and maybe just talk a little bit about how your son's time with One Kids Place and what they've meant to you.
Well, Jack had some special needs. He had some brain damage, was the reality. It affected his legs. So 2 days a week we went in and we would do exercises and I saw when I got home, the simple things that we were doing was starting to work. So families are always waiting for funding or trying to get into supports. So when we started raising money, we alleviated that waiting list of, the money's there, we can get weighted vests. We built a playground. We outfitted the snooze-a-loom. We brought in the autism program that is there now. It was funded by the Deacon family. And when the money ran out, my wife and I thought, this is what we're going to do. And thankfully, it's been a great relationship between us and One Kids Place. It was amazing.
Lots of hockey here today. What is the game you're looking forward to?
I love all of it. I do. I love all of it. Love the North Stars. The girls against girls is always competitive. I love it. I do love it.
Well, congratulations, and have a great rest of the day.
Thank you, buddy.
So the other person we got a chance to talk to was Tyler Smith. Now, Tyler Smith, he was the one who did like the ceremonial puck drop at the beginning. And for those who don't know who he is, he was one of the survivors of the Humboldt Broncos crash that happened back in 2018, I believe it was.
Yeah.
Which was, it feels like it just happened, but when you think about it, you go, wow, that was like almost 10 years ago. And of course, for those who don't know, it was a very unfortunate crash, I believe in Saskatchewan, where I think a transport ended up hitting their bus. Of course, the Humboldt was a hockey team, and I believe there was about 13 people who lost their lives. So very, a big tragedy. Like, it made national news. It was a huge, huge deal, rightfully so. And then Tyler ended up taking that tragedy, and he's now become a public speaker talking about kind of his journey and everything there. So, it was kind of a cool chat with him, and it was neat to see somebody like that come to another hockey event and be able to kind of show that support. Because I was asking him kind of off camera. It's like this was his first time in North Bay, so kind of a neat little thing for him to come in, and a big grab, I guess, for Craig and the rest of the organizers for this event.
Yeah, absolutely. I was talking to one of the other head organizers who started the Jack Lyons, which was Jenna Wilson, who's my age, and it was in the works for a long time. I remember she told me about Tyler like October or November, and here we are in March, and like it not actually happened, but it happened. It came to fruition. And yeah, Tyler's first time in North Bay is great. He's going around other schools later this week to talk to them and be like a mental health advocate. He's at Chippewa today, which is fantastic, but unfortunate. It was a snow day.
Yeah, we are recording this Wednesday, by the way, so freezing rain and everything like that.
Nasty, but it's a fantastic opportunity for him, but also the community, like the North Bay community, I guess, the North Bay schools community, to hear from this guy and to take lessons from it and understand what happened and implement it into their lives to move forward positively.
And if anybody complains about winter here, he was I was briefly chatting to him about winter, and he's like, you haven't seen anything until you've been to Saskatchewan in January. Apparently it's really, I guess it's just flat, so lots of wind and it's kind of nasty. So let's throw it over to the little interview I did with Tyler Smith. All right, I'm here with Tyler Smith, who is a public speaker. He's done a lot of events. Of course, a very tragic story that you've turned into a very good story with what kind of work you are. And we are here at the Jack Lyons Memorial Hockey Tournament. First of all, what brought you to this tournament specifically?
Yeah, just like a culmination of everything. I was, planning to speak with the schools anyways, and I think it just worked out that I get to be a part of Jack's Day, and I think it's it's a good way to see the community. And I think, obviously Jack was an integral part of the community, and I think to experience North Bay and to see how the community showed up for the Lyons family is a great way to start.
Obviously, there's a lot of personal connection between you and the game of hockey, but what is some of the, connection between you and Jack's story that maybe kind of, got to you a little bit?
Yeah, I think just the game of hockey and knowing that, he was obviously a part of the North Stars and I think just sport brings people together, and I think Jack brought a lot of people together too, and I think was an integral part of the community of North Bay, and I think there's intersections with just the power of storytelling within a community, and I think continuing to tell Jack's story is a prominent way to keep his legacy alive, and I think there's it all comes back to community and storytelling. So
you talked about story a lot. What is obviously, again, a very tragic thing you went through, but what is the message that you try to give away while you try to speak to people? What is the message that you're trying to share with the people who you speak with?
I think just perspective is and not everything, but I think perspective is a huge thing in our lives, and I think connection too. I think connection thrives when people show up for each other, and I think making sure that you have people in your corner, and you're allowed to ask, and you're allowed to ask for help, and you're allowed to take those steps for yourself. I talk about a lot, and I probably just go on and ramble for 45 minutes, but I think it's it's storytelling, it's connection, it's resilience, and I think just celebrating ourselves and remembering that we've made it this far, and there's something to be said about that.
Lots of hockey today. What's the game you're looking forward to?
Yeah, honestly, just everything. I think there was a man I met, Russ, who was supposed to be playing with the police team, but unfortunately didn't make the cut, he said. So, I think just getting to experience a new barn and watch some hockey.
So first time in North Bay, what stuck out for you? What have you liked so far? Maybe what have you disliked in our city?
No dislikes. I think I appreciate, I'm an outdoorsy person. I think I appreciate, seeing all the, the ice fishing shacks, and just went to the bistro last night, and I think I think even the drive here, it was gorgeous. And I think, I never thought I would probably make it up to North Bay before, but now being here, it's just I like that I get to enjoy it and check out some spots, and it'll be fun.
A little bit warmer than Saskatchewan?
A little bit warmer.
All right. Thank you so much. Enjoy your day.
Thank you.
All right. So now you become the star of the show here, because let's get to some actual hockey. So there was hockey being played. I ended up getting footage of the girls varsity, so Chippewa Ferris, which I believe ended up with a Chippewa victory.
Yes.
3-2, because they scored kind of a late winner. It was just, they had 25 minutes, and it's just continuous, it doesn't stop in between the whistles. So there was a late goal that was scored, which was neat, and Chippewa ended up getting the victory. And before that, kind of in between those games, you had a chance to chat with a couple of Chippewa Ferris boy players. So why don't you tee those up a little bit?
Yeah. First, we went and talk to captain of the Chippewa boys varsity hockey team, Jack Fiddler. Great kid, has played a lot of different levels of hockey and a lot of hockey, period, in his lifetime. And he, big contributing member to Chippewa community, has been there since grade 7. Had a younger brother who went there. So he really got the event. He played in the celebrity game with the police service against the North Stars. And he was a great interview, but he's a great kid. Like, similar to Rain Bradley, like, he's got it. He's got it. You know what I mean?
Well, he won the Lady Bing. Well, our version of the Lady Bing, I guess. Most sportsman-like.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's neat. It's always fun to see. Like, I only ever see these kids on the ice for the most part. So to see them off the ice, they look a lot smaller, you know, when you're not in uniform. The only person was who was a Kyle McDonald when he played for the battalion. Yeah. I will never forget when he came out with no uniform on, like nothing. I think they were presenting the overagers at this point. This was a number of years ago. And he was taller than the people who were on skates and bigger. And that's pretty impressive. But yeah, it's funny to sometimes see people outside of their equipment, because the equipment adds a lot of size to you. But it was it was a great interview. I couldn't hear what was said, so I'm sure you did a great job. But,
you did a good job.
Okay. And then you also got a chance to talk to a new Liskeard Cub.
Yeah.
Well, a AAA player who suited up for the Trojans, who fielded a team and what could be a potential, preview of next year.
Yeah, I got a chance to talk to Evan Rowe from West Ferris, and I had never talked to him before. But I heard that he had played AAA in North Bay and now in New Liskeard. And he was also on the team that played against the North Stars. He actually scored the first goal for that team, and so he got a lot of boos after he scored, actually. But seemed like a great kid. We talked about Ferris hockey a little bit, but he seems pretty committed to the AAA program, and he's a talented hockey player. He should be. And he understood the events as well. We got to hear what it was like from Ferris's point of view, like having Jack's mom teach there, and like how the event was gassed up over there. And yeah, overall great interview from him.
All right, well, let's throw over to those two interviews now.
I'm here with captain of the Chippewa Ravens varsity boys hockey team, Jack Fiddler. Jack, how do you feel playing here today?
It feels awesome. It's great to come out and help with everything that Jack Lyons is for. And it's just an awesome atmosphere with every school here. It's just great.
Awesome. And you played earlier against the North Stars. How was that game for you? How was that game? What did it mean to everybody? And how did it mean for the North Bay Police that you were with?
I think it meant a lot to everybody just to see all the support and everybody's support for Jack Lyons, and just to see the community rally around such an awesome cause is just amazing.
And looking ahead now to the Ferris game that you guys are playing against, who do you think is going to win this matchup? Is it going to be a good matchup against you guys against Ferris?
I think it'll be close, but I think we'll take the edge for sure. We have a couple great people. Rain Bradley, Braden Hannum, and Carson Casey are our big three there. So hopefully we can pull out the win.
Absolutely. I didn't know we were adding Brado, but I'm glad to hear that Braden Hannum is out there playing. And then phenomenal season that you guys had as the Chippewa Senior Boys Ravens, and you being the captain. How was that for you? What was that like? Had you been a captain before?
I've never been a captain before, but it was great. It was a great team effort, especially in the semifinals. That was our finals for sure. We played amazing. Our goalie played lights out. It was just a great team effort in the finals for sure.
All right, thank you so much. I'm here with West Ferris Trojans varsity hockey player and New Liskeard Cubs AAA hockey player, Evan Rowe. Evan, what does it mean to be here today and to represent your school in the Jack Lyons Memorial Hockey Exhibition?
Well, it's a huge event. We haven't had a team since 2021, and it's just fun. The atmosphere, the support, like everything is just great.
Awesome. And you're quite the talented hockey player. Have you thought about playing West Ferris hockey if they have a high school team later on?
It's definitely crossed my mind. I'm not quite sure what's going on yet, but it'd be pretty sick if we get a team going next year.
It was a fantastic event.
Yeah.
And it looked like they raised a lot of money.
I think so too. I think that it'll be a reoccurring event. It brings schools and community together in support of a fantastic thing, a big community member. It's not going anywhere.
No, and it's also a lot to put on. So shout out to Craig Nodwell and everybody else who helped organize it between all the schools. It just, I joked with him in our interview. I said, I don't know if this is going to make the cut, but I said, when do you ever sleep? Because he had the finals, I think it was 2 weeks ago. He was at every single NDA final, and then he was at the hockey finals, and then he was doing this, and it's like, when does it stop, right? But also the amount of work that has to go into coordinating, getting all the students there is a lot. Like when I was driving in, was Chippewa was walking over, so they had like the whole like herd of Chippewa students trying to cross Chippewa Street and stuff. So it's it's a lot of work. Of course, like Ferris probably would have had to get bussed over there. Then of course you have the police department coming in, the fire department, trying to get someone like Tyler Smith in, getting, you know, all these people into one area for about 3 hours, but they were probably there from like at minimum, like probably 10 a.m. till like probably 2 to 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
It's, as somebody, like, we literally just went through the Home and Garden Expo. It's kind of the same thing. Like, it's a lot of work. And for that one event. And so it's, maybe it's a good thing that the snow day was the day after.
And March break's coming.
So the students and the teachers get a little bit of a break.
I wonder how many teachers call in sick tomorrow. What do you think? Because they get Friday off for the PD day.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, you think it's a lot? You think it's not a lot?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Maybe
As somebody whose parents were teachers, I'm trying to, like, they didn't really call in sick a lot.
No, I think Bob will go.
I don't know. Well, yeah, I guess so. It's
if he doesn't, I'm sorry in advance, Dad.
I'm sure they pop up, but it's I wonder, because I've always wondered this, because it's kind of a weird thing with teachers where you don't, you know, like they're kind of like this thing as when you're a kid, right? They're like, it's like a parent kind of, they're in their own little world, you know? And then when you become an adult, you realize it's just another job. And you think about it that way, and then it gets really kind of weird because you're like, oh, when do they go to work and when do they get off and like all that kind of stuff. I'm curious what PD days will look like for teachers. I know you're going into teaching. So it's like, what does that, maybe you can shed some light. What does that look like?
I think it's just a crap ton of meetings. It's when they teach the teachers is what I was always told from my parents.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah.
I hate meetings.
Well, sometimes there's, you know, like there's snacks involved. You get to see teachers from other schools. Like, I think there's some positive and some negatives, but definitely a lot of called in sick to those as well.
To the PD days?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, what are you going to do? What's your dad going to do for March break?
Good question. Watch some basketball to start, probably.
Is it
get the house in good shape? March Madness has got to be soon.
Yeah. It's exciting.
Yeah, nothing crazy.
What are you doing with you don't get a March break?
Nope.
College.
Mine's
I don't
over.
get one either.
Nope.
So that's fine. We're going to have to figure out the Sportscast, though, for next week because nothing's going on in the world of NDA until probably end of April, May, when badminton actually happens. And then, so it's going to be, I guess the next, 6 weeks-ish is going to be very interesting to try to get some content for. Probably going to see a lot of interviews. We do want to get a lot of the Sports Hall of Fame people on as well, so we're going to start reaching out for that. There's a couple of NDA people we'd like to get on as well. I still want to get John in for Lakers volleyball. So a couple of stokes in the fire, as you can say.
Yeah, we'll make it work.
We'll make it work. All right. So that has been Sportscast number 78.
I'm Jackson Bull.
And I'm Ben Sargent. Thank you so much for watching, liking, subscribing, sharing, all of that fun stuff. If you have any sports, please, we need them. There's not a lot of sports happening. If you know anything that you want to get, 3-on-3 basketball, that's what the other one is.
Perfect.
End of March. That's going to be fun. But if you have any sports you want us to cover, anything like that, please reach out to me. You can either do it through Instagram on our handle, North Bay Echo, or Facebook, also North Bay Echo, or you can reach out to my email, ben@northbayecho.ca, and that will be it for us. We'll see you again next week for another edition of the Echo Sportscast.